Hi everyone, Payson McDonald here. Hope you're enjoying your day. Today I'm going to answer a question from a mom with a young child who's wondering more about discipline and how to navigate that space. So her question is, at what age would you say is a good time to start disciplining your child? Even though I hate to call it that, more than just saying no to certain behaviors. Thanks for asking this question. So I think a good place to start is considering what the word discipline really means. I think traditionally people have associated the word with punishment, and we know that research shows that excessive punishment and consequences just aren't effective for helping children learn appropriate behaviors over time. So what we know is that the root word of discipline actually means to teach. So what I want you to do with that is start to have a mindset shift of, what do I want to teach my child in these moments that they are, disobeying me or disrespecting me or not following directions and rules that I'm giving them? What do I want them to take away from this? So the key here is to get curious about what your child's behavior means. You want to think about, what are they trying to tell you through their behavior? All behavior is communication. And especially in the younger years, you're going to see more communication through behavior than perhaps later on, where they're more able to verbalize feelings and thoughts and things like that. One thing I want to mention is that there is a lot of research behind simply just thinking about the meaning of your child's behavior and tying that to creating a secure attachment between you and your child. The fancy term for this is parental reflective functioning. So this really just means the ability to think about your child's behavior and attribute meaning to it. This, along with empathy, regulating and containing your child's feelings, and regulating your own emotions when you're distressed, are the pillars that lead to secure attachment. So this in turn is linked to a whole lot of positive social emotional outcomes for your child in the long run. Some of those are higher cognitive skills, higher problem solving abilities, academic achievement, better relationships, and in general, you're lowering the risk for mental health challenges when you have a secure attachment. Going along with that space of secure attachment, you want to focus on making sure the foundational pieces are in place before even considering what type of appropriate consequences there are for your child. So that means making sure that you are having playtime with your child, having one-on-one connection with them every day. Even if it's for a short period, research shows like 10 to 15 minutes of undivided attention is effective. Focusing on truly being with them. So no distractions. You're there with them, you're listening to them, you are excited to be with them. So along with this, you want to have clear limits and rules set in place for your child. It's going to be important to have those in place when they're younger so that they aren't so surprised when they get older and you start to instill certain boundaries and limits. At a younger age, that might look like a really clear and simple limit, such as, that's not okay for you to color on Johnny's paper, or I can't allow you to hit me, or please use a quieter voice when you're talking. Those are what we call limits, and that might be more appropriate when they're younger. The older they get, that might shift a little bit. When we move up from having those foundational pieces in place, sort of picturing a pyramid, and in fact, there is a parenting pyramid that I like to share with parents in parent coaching sessions that I'd be happy to share with you if you have interest. Just comment below or send me a message and I can send that resource to you. But within this pyramid is those foundational positive things that will promote secure attachment. And then you move into those clear limits and rules. And then from there, sort of at the higher point of the pyramid, you're going to use selectively consequences. I want to be clear that consequences are very different from harsh punishment. The way that we do this is by using natural and logical consequences, which in essence are, you're allowing the child to experience the results of their choices in a safe and supportive environment. And you are not shaming and blaming and punishing in that sense. I'm happy to go into more detail about natural and logical consequences if you have interest, or if any other viewers have interest in that. But for the purposes of this video, I will just say that this is the type of consequence you want to focus on. A really simple example of a logical consequence is if you have a few children at home and let's say one of them starts scribbling on the other child's piece of paper that they're drawing on. At that point, a logical consequence might look like, okay, you can no longer have this, or you're going to have a break from drawing since you're having a hard time just drawing on your piece of paper. Again, consequences should be used selectively. Everything else, focusing on the positive interactions and things like that, can be used liberally. Another really important focus here is the idea of redirecting your child in a respectful way. And so when I talk about teaching your child, this is really where it comes into play. The natural and logical consequences are good when used selectively, but more importantly will be taking the time to have meaningful conversations with your child about what happened and what wasn't okay. So in the moment that your child is misbehaving or doing something that you don't agree with, this is a time where you want to connect with them first. So provide comfort through your body language, your tone, your facial expressions, get down to their level. Really try to convey to them that you are there to comfort them. You are trying to help them basically get de-escalated through your body language and how you're approaching them. So if you approach a child who's misbehaving and you start yelling at them, or you hover over them with your arms crossed, or you have a mean look on your face, a lot of those things can actually trigger a child to go into a further state of fight or flight, which is not really effective in what we're trying to do. And that is basically get them to a more regulated state. And then once they are ready, once you've done that connection piece, maybe, empathizing with what they're feeling, stating, it looks like you're having a hard time. From there, you move into redirection. So this is where that teaching piece really comes in and the discipline really comes in. When you're both ready, the key being both ready and regulated. Sometimes parents jump into the redirection point way before their child is actually regulated or before the parent is calm themselves. So finding a time where you're both in a regulated, calm state again. This is where you sit down and have a conversation about what happened, and you want to ask them how they were feeling. Just ask them like open-ended questions, like what happened? Can you tell me more about what led up to that? How did it make you feel? So just listen to what they have to say about it as non-judgmentally as possible. So really just give them the space to explain their end of things, and this will build insight to their own feelings and emotions. You also want to build empathy towards how they might have impacted other people. So talk about how they think they might have affected someone else in that situation. If they aren't really able to give like an insightful answer, that's where you can step in and say, it seemed like you really hurt Maya's feelings because she started crying when you took her crayon or something like that. So you want to basically talk about what feelings were brought up for them and what feelings others might have had, how they might have impacted them in whatever situation happened. From there, you want to focus on repair. So what can we do next time to make this better, to avoid the same thing from happening? There's a lot that I just unpacked here, and it's really just kind of cutting the surface. If you are wanting more information on any of the things that I covered here, whether that is the pillars of secure attachment or natural and logical consequences or the redirection piece of discipline, I'm happy to go into more detail. Okay, thank you so much. I hope this helps. Take care.